the Middle-aged Bodcast. Getting older, but having some laughs.
Welcome to the Middle-aged Bodcast with me, Raging Rich.
Me, T.A. Shalano.
T.A, it's back. It's your favourite.
It's Monday Night Podcast. And what's more, Rich, it's Bank Holiday Monday Night Podcast.
It is Bank Holiday Monday Night Podcast. This is a new one for us.
It is, and I do love a bit of double pay on Bank Holiday, Rich, so transfer me the funds, please.
Well, you're not getting paid, you know that, but I think we should point out you have got a microphone now, the same as mine.
I have got a microphone, Rich, so yeah, it's just recently been my birthday, and Mrs. Shalano has purchased me a microphone for virtual recordings. Which obviously creates some additional flexibility for recordings for us when we cannot be in the studio together at the same time. So here we are testing it out on a Bank Holiday Monday Night Podcast.
One little faux pas that we need to address here as well, and it's my fault, and I think we need to just address this. Obviously, a couple of our episodes recently have had a few issues with the audio because when we were recording in the same room a few weeks ago, when we did the guest episodes, everything was fine. We used the software we use for a virtual recording. When we did the software that we used to record in the studio directly, just me and you, I had the wrong microphone selected. So thanks to a few little tips and tricks that I learned from Uni Podfest and Lisa Hacks, who we mentioned in the episode that we did, the bonus podcast, and her audio editing workshop, I think we managed to clean it up enough that they were usable. We won't mention which episodes they were. We'll let the podcasters see if they can find out themselves.
I wouldn't have told them. I mean, I praise you for your integrity in that of explaining what's gone on there, but I think I'd have just but yeah, well done on cleaning up after yourself.
Well, yes. Yes.
So there we go. Right, so what is happening in Raging Rich world?
Obviously we're going to get into our last weekends, as we had quite busy ones, both of us, over the last sort of few days prior to recording. But today, I have been cooking again. So I went shopping with Ruth yesterday. So she asked me what my plans were for my meals for the week. And I got a couple of days covered. And I had cooked some enchiladas on Friday, which I'm going to have. I put some of that in the freezer. So I've got that for one of the days. But we're walking around the supermarket and got a few things, and I have made a sausage casserole in the slow cooker today, and really nice, delicious. I made one a few weeks ago just without the slow cooker, just put it in the oven. Managed to realise I did have a casserole dish, because after living in my house for nearly 20 years I'd never used one until then. But yeah, I know you're shaking your head, but you know what I'm like.
That's just astonishing, isn't it, really? But I'm glad that podcasting has now sort of made a difference to your catering in such a way. It's had such a positive influence for you, which is good. Sausage casserole, that sounds nice.
Oh, it was great. It was really good. I do change the recipe up a little bit because it tells you to put water in. But the last one I did said as an alternative you could put chopped tomatoes in. So I did that for this one as well. I did it the last time I made it, used the chopped tomatoes, did it again today. So yeah, really, really pleased with that.
To counterbalance, obviously, with your extended culinary, you still can't say it, culinary range, cooking, dear me. The world is helping me with my fitness, Rich, because Mrs. Shalano and I share a car, which unfortunately is in need of repair. And so I've been doing a lot more walking, including from shops, carrying heavy bags and tins of paint the other day, which was fun. And then Mrs. Shalano's obviously had me working hard in the garden with the paint, doing our fences and decking and all the rest of it. So yeah, I've been sort of extending my energy there rather than traditional fitness. I've been doing that, so that's been keeping me fit. So I must admit, feeling a little bit jaded a bank holiday weekend of work, to be fair. But yeah, and I'm still working on obviously the second book as well, which is getting very close to a first draft. And then, of course, Rich, we were out last night because Mrs. Shalano's birthday is also coming up. So we did a bit of a joint thing. And we were out last night, were we not, Rich, enjoying that?
Yes. Had a couple of drinks beforehand and then went for a meal at a Greek restaurant. Haven't been to a Greek restaurant in a long time. Well, since we went on holiday to a Greek island, so many years ago. So yeah, that was really nice.
It was Yamas Efaristo Parapoli last night, Rich, which is cheers, thank you very much in Greek. You know me, don't mind throwing in the odd phrase I've learned over the years. And of course, driver Dave was with us last night, and I did encourage them to Ithela Logoriasmo Paracalo, which was to give him the bill, please, rather than us. It didn't quite work out that way in the end. And became rather complicated because Mrs. Shalano paid a deposit, and then it got very confusing. But yeah, in the end,
but all sorted. It was all
we get it out. I just hate it when they take deposits in advance. It just completely throws the bill wrong and just makes a mess of it.
Yeah, I think sometimes for some of the restaurants, though, I guess it's a way of ensuring if you don't show up, they still get some money, isn't it? Because I mean, obviously, there were 6 of us there. I think that's probably the minimum number normally where they'll do kind of a deposit, unless you're a regular customer for somewhere.
It was very quiet in there, though, to be honest, Rich, I thought. I didn't realise that they knew we were so famous that we're entitled to have a restaurant to ourselves now.
I think it was more probably because it was a Sunday night. Obviously, the way the bank holidays have fallen as well in recent weeks is a little bit strange, obviously with the later Easter and then going into May Day bank holiday, and then we're only a few weeks away from yet another bank holiday. So they are coming through thick and fast. So yeah, it is... as you say, it was pretty quiet in there, but I think it's probably more to do with the bank holiday and maybe people probably going there more on a Friday and Saturday if they are, or do they even know it's there? Because that's the other thing. I actually didn't know that it was there until it was mentioned. But yeah, really, really good night.
Excellent. And yeah, recent trips then, Rich. I think you've been in Liverpool.
Yeah, I have, yes, and couldn't have timed it any better, could I really? So my brother was 40 last year, and I did say to him that we should go away somewhere and do something, and the original plan was Dublin. It would have been fine, but obviously he needed to be available on a certain day of the week in a certain time to have his son, so we changed it up and suggested Liverpool instead. He'd never been, I've obviously been before, stayed at the Royal Albert Dock, which is an absolutely fabulous place to stay as well if anyone is going to Liverpool. And yeah, went to a few different tourist attractions while we were there. The British Music Experience, which was fantastic, and did put some photos up on the Instagram for the podcast. So yeah, there was some really good memorabilia in there from like Queen and the Rolling Stones. There's some Beatles stuff. There's a lot of Spice Girls stuff in there. A lot of Spice Girls stuff. And what I found really interesting about that, a lot of it's just stuff they've worn on like random TV shows and things and on stage. They did, however, have Melanie C's outfit from the Wannabe video. And I did think, well, surely, like, if you could have got all of the outfits, that would have been a little bit more iconic. But there was a lot of really cool stuff as well. There was like Black Sabbath stuff and Madness, Aswad. There was all kinds of like 80s, 90s. There was also an Oasis little bit with Blur and Oasis. And there was a ticket to an Oasis gig on there, which is the closest that anybody related to the podcast is going to get to a ticket to Oasis in 2025.
Well, we're not bitter. We won't look back in anger, Rich. Mrs. Shalano and I did the that music experience in Liverpool when we went a couple of years ago, and I agree with you. It's an interesting walk through the decades of music as well, isn't it? And so it's not just kind of modern stuff. You've got stuff dating back quite a bit, which is good.
They had some stuff on Buddy Holly, and obviously he's an American artist, but he died when he was flying over the UK. My mum and dad are big fans of Buddy Holly. They've been to see the Buddy Holly Story, which is like a musical tribute to him. Yeah, so really, some really good stuff there, some really interesting memorabilia, and there's actually a little recording studio thing in there where you can go and sing along to certain songs. There's a little dance booth thing, and you can go in and do the Macarena and various other dances, and they sort of teach you how to do it, and you can put your phone on there and film it. That footage was deleted, unfortunately, podcasters. I wasn't sharing any of that. It was terrible. But yeah, did that. And then the next day I went to the Beatles Story, which I'd been to before. But yeah, really enjoyed that experience. They'd updated it a little bit as well. So added a few little photo opportunities and sort of the audio tour that's there as well. The audio guide is really cool. You get like the little keypad and you can press the buttons relating to the items you're looking at, but there's like additional information on there as well. And there is, of course, a replica of the Cavern Club. We went to the Cavern Club actually on the first day as well, and there was a singer in there. He was singing a fair few Beatles songs, and he asked people for requests, and somebody actually said Nirvana. And he went, well, I've got to link it to the Cavern. I can't just play Nirvana. So we started playing a Nirvana song, but singing the Beatles lyrics over the top to get around it. But yeah, that was really good. And then, TA, obviously, I think we have established that I am a supporter of Liverpool Football Club.
Been mentioned.
I managed to get my brother to go with me on the tour of Anfield. So that was brilliant. Obviously, you and I went a few years ago. And did the legend player tour experience with Phil Thompson taking us round, which was fantastic. But sort of decade later, getting to go around there and do the tour again, and that was really cool. They give you like a little device again that you can take round with you, and it does little things. When you get to sort of the top of the stands, you can hold it up and move it around, and it's like you're at a match day. They do sort of, if people are having photo opportunities at any point, they actually use them for anyone who doesn't want to take part in those. But it was, yeah, really cool. Great to be there. Really sunny day, and obviously then having the big title win a few days before. So that was fantastic. Really enjoyed that. Got to go around the museum as well later to see the European Cup, the Champions League trophy, which is actually the legitimate trophy, the one of them, because once you've won it 5 times, you actually were allowed to keep the trophy. Now they have changed that rule, so with anyone else, they can't do that. And I know we don't like to talk football too much on the podcast, but I will say, because I loved the story, when Manchester United fans keep saying the greatest day in their history was winning the European Cup as part of the treble in 1999, that trophy's at Anfield. So anyone who supports Man U and wants to see the real trophy would have to go to Anfield.
I think it's rather awful of you to bring such footballing rivalry between those two northwest giants of clubs into the podcast in that way. I mean, talk about rubbing it in for them. I mean, I'm not a Man United fan, but dear me, Rich. You know.
Well, I'm not a United fan. I've done the Old Trafford tour. Obviously, a mutual friend of ours who lives in Manchester, and when I went to visit him, he said, "Oh, should we just go and do that?" It's not a patch on the Anfield tour, but yeah. So we did the tour, and then went back and actually ended up doing the Mersey Ferry, which was brilliant. The views that you get. We saw the Everton Stadium, the new stadium. That looks really nice. Again, it's a modern stadium. I mean, you only saw it from the outside, but again, these things are used. I'm guessing it's going to be quite good for gigs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a shame though, because I mean, I've been to the old Everton ground for a match, and the old football grounds. There's so much character to them. It's a shame. I know everything has to change and modernisation or whatever, but yeah, it was a great old ground.
Well, they're talking about the women's team using it, which is quite cool. I think that'll be quite good for them.
Okay.
Because I think then you've got obviously more capacity, and hopefully they can grow sort of the number of attendees that they have at matches for the women's team. So yeah, that's at least one of the good things about it. They're not going to just completely scrap it. I think certainly not straight away. So Goodison will be around for a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's good to note. Yeah. And then I've been out and about, Rich, myself.
You have indeed, yes. Visiting the location of the Doctor's hidden patients.
Yes. So Mrs. Sholano, in her infinite wisdom, thought it would be hilarious to buy me a trip to Oxford on the basis that I wrote a book set there, having never been to Oxford, which in hindsight is a really stupid thing to do, actually, in some respects. But then you go there and you think, well, actually, I'm still kind of in the midst of this sort of trilogy of books now around this. And actually, for the third book, which will actually become the first book in terms of being a prequel, going to Oxford now will probably be quite helpful. But yeah, it did make me feel slightly bad that I'd never been. But she bought me a tour of the castle and prison, and we actually stayed in what was the prison next door to the castle, which used to be a working prison up until 1996, and they've renovated it and kept all the landings and all the stuff. So it's like being in a real prison that's been renovated. But yeah, so that was quite an interesting trip out. A great deal of history in the castle, which was interesting, and we had a meal out nearby on the evening as well, which was really good. And then, as I say, the only sour point, which I mentioned sort of earlier with the car, was we were on the way back from Oxford. Unfortunately, we weren't too far from home when we had a bit of an issue with our car that's now at the garage. Otherwise, a really enjoyable trip out. Mine and Mrs. Shalana's birthday is obviously close together, as you mentioned earlier on, and we're off to York in a couple of days' time for Mrs. Shalana's birthday, which is what I bought for her. So that will hopefully be good.
Yeah, hope you have a great time with that.
And then we're dropping off on the way back via Nottingham, and we have tickets to see the comedian Paul Chowdhury. And we actually saw Paul Chowdhury at a much smaller venue in Birmingham back in 2014, I think it was, when I was looking. And we had our photograph taken with Paul after the gig. And I always remember it because whenever I see the photograph, there's a sort of naked Johnny Vegas on a photograph in the background behind us for no apparent reason. The venue where that was. But so this unfortunately is a much, much bigger venue. So I don't think we'll be having a photograph taken with Paul at this one. And I don't think this venue will have a naked photo of Johnny Vegas. So really looking forward to those days coming up. And frankly, after the amount of work I've been doing in the garden, I think I need a bit of a rest. So I'm too old for it, Rich. Do you know what I mean? I'm painting and staining and stuff like that. It's so dull, not entertaining at all.
I need to get out in my garden quite soon and start doing a bit more with that.
Rich, you've been saying that for many years, as I can remember. I mean, to be fair, now you've got the cooking on the go. Can the podcast get you into the garden? We could do a gardener's world with Raging Rich or whatever. I hope they don't sue us.
Well, I've been doing some stuff out the front today, and I've cleared a little bit of the walkway.
The front? You live on a main road.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. You're saying, "Oh, I live on a main road." There are bushes that overhang and stop people getting past without hitting them in the face and things like that. I have cleaned that up, and I have taken a few weeds out from the front. Come on now.
I like the idea, right, that we could do a bonus. I don't believe I'm going to say this, but I am going to say this, and we're going to make it happen now, because everything we say that might happen then happens, right?
Okay.
So here we go. We're going to have like some kind of gardening special for you, Rich. We're going to get Alan Titchmarsh, yep, and was it Charlie Dimmock?
Charlie Dimmock, yeah, and Tommy Walsh.
We're going to get them, and we're going to have a special podcast episode at Richie's, sorting out Richie's garden.
Ground Force,
yeah.
We get Charlie Dimmock to install a water feature.
Yeah, whatever. We're going to renovate your garden. That's going to be the episode. The Middle-aged Garden Fest or something like that. I don't know. We just go for it. You know, if we can find something archaic, we can bring in the other ones where they dig. Is it Time Team?
Time Team. We're going to get Tony Robinson to come.
Tony Robinson. What can we find? What can we find?
I mean, don't get me wrong. If Tony Robinson came to my house, I'd just be talking to him about Maid Marian and her merry men because he played the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Okay.
Have you never seen that show?
No, I was thinking more. I remember him more for playing Baldric in Blackadder.
I've never seen Blackadder.
Oh, yeah. See, that's what I would have got.
But you've blatantly never seen Maid Marian and her merry men, so there you go.
No, I haven't. But what it was just reminding me of, obviously, we talked about this before. Obviously, you got your shed where we had that.
Oh, yes.
But these would have real professionals now that you could impress your dad with to help you in the garden, rather than the like your brother, me, and whatnot, struggling to move a shed. But yeah, if you want any inspiration for gardening, we have put some hours in over this weekend. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's looking better than that, but I'm just like feeling very, very old and achy, when you sort of out there. I was like Daniel's son in The Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi, you're just painting, and eventually, you'll get somewhere. But it needed to be done. But there we go. So I look forward to that now, Rich, the garden special episode.
Well, we'll have to see about that. Maybe at the end we can have a barbecue. How about that?
Yes. So you can combine it. You got the cooking and the garden. So you got a barbecue, and we'll be cutting through all your hedges and your bushes and painting your shed and painting your fences and whatnot and digging up slabs. I'm not going to volunteer to do that, I'll be honest, because it's a pain. But
you will volunteer to come to the barbecue, though.
Absolutely. Well, I'll obviously be there as part of the recording. Absolutely. I don't mind cutting down a couple of, trees. Not cutting down. I'm not talking about it's cutting off branches or your bushes or whatever. I mean, yeah, not cutting down trees. You don't want me cutting down trees. They'd go through your shed.
We're doing that. Causing off trouble, that shed.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So yes, that's what we're looking forward to. Yeah, it's good.
Well, on the subject of cooking, we will be doing a cooking special this season as well. There will be a special where I think we're both going to choose a dish to cook from the Poppy Cooks range of cookbooks by Poppy O'Toole.
I think I chose mine, didn't I, Rich? I'm just going back over my.
Yeah, so I think we're going to do one from the air fryer book and one from the slow cooker book. Unless we just both go for the same one, like the same book, but cook a different recipe. I don't know. But I think maybe...
I've got lemon and honey chicken skewers.
Okay. And that's an air fryer one, isn't it? So I'll do the slow cooker. I'll find a recipe a little bit later. And we'll update the podcasters on our cookery special.
It was just one other thing about my trip to Oxford, Rich. I couldn't not go and then obviously go sort of to the Bodleian Museum, library, etc. Because obviously, as you know, my book was provided through the legal deposit scheme and whatnot. And I wanted to know how that really worked in practice. And what I found out when I went there was that because they have so much stuff, like millions, they can only have so much on site. And then they keep other stuff off site, I think in Swindon. But what I found really impressive was if you want to get a book out, including like my book, they actually said you could ask in the morning and they'd have it there for you by the afternoon, which I think is...
T.A, you're missing a trick on promotion here. Say the title.
The Doctor's Hidden Patient. But never mind going to the library, buy it. On my website, on Amazon, on Smashwords. Read it now. You'll feel so much better when you read the second one. And the third one, eventually, maybe. But yeah, so the thing I wanted to obviously mention that. But while we were there, what they'd got, Rich, was like a little bit of a free like exhibition within the venue. And it was about radio and broadcasting. I'm just having a quick look now at obviously the photo I took, and it said it was kind of like a celebration almost of like 100+ years of like, the history of radio and whatnot in this country and different things. And it's sort of listening how radio changed the home and stuff like that. And within that, it actually had like a bit of a thing leading up to how it had sort of evolved all the way up to and including podcasting. And I thought that's really interesting because it talked about how people used to sit around and obviously listen at home to the radio, and it became a real family thing, long before the days of TV, and what a big thing it was, I think, in the sort of wartime Britain as well, a real massive thing. And it's just interesting how that evolution over like, I guess, a century or so now, but you've now got podcasting where you've got people can listen to people all over the world. So rather than you having to sort of try and tune into a station, within your own town, cities, country, and all the rest of it, and how that's kind of evolved, you've now got this global thing. And yeah, I kind of read the thing on the side of the exhibition talking about podcasting, and I was like, never really thought about it. But in the end, we're broadcasters, Rich. We're part of British broadcasting history. So I'm in a museum and I'm part of literary history, and we're part of broadcasting history. And that's kind of quite an amazing thing in a roundabout way. Is it just me?
It is quite a cool thing, isn't it? Especially when you look at how things have changed in the world. And like you say, podcasting has become such a big thing. There's obviously new podcasts starting all the time. There are podcasts that you actually mentioned in podcasting. The Cavern Club have a podcast, or they had one. We actually have more episodes than the Cavern Club podcast because they stopped after about 6 episodes. It is true. There's a lot of these these podcasts out there that don't get the full sort of run. And certainly I think as we're coming towards the 1 year anniversary of the podcast, I think it does show that we've done really well with that.
Well, I was going to say, I've heard that a bit where people either start or it doesn't really, keep it going. I mean, we obviously know a few people within independent podcasting community or whatever that have done kind of 4 or 5 years now and whatnot, which is really impressive. Obviously, you're talking about coming up to sort of 1 year and whatnot. I mean, I think when this episode goes out, this would be like our 38th episode, which, in itself is not an insignificant amount when you look at obviously the amount of guests we've interviewed and obviously the ones where it is just me and you. Yeah, it's quite a thing to keep going and whatnot. Yeah, it just struck me reading that on the wall where it talked about how that's kind of evolved. It's interesting to be part of that.
It is indeed. It's something to be proud of, certainly, and something that hopefully will long continue. So please do, as we've failed to say in many episodes, please do subscribe and please do leave some reviews on the episodes. We'd love to hear some feedback. We are coming up to the 1 year anniversary and we have got a few things planned for that. Reflections on 1 year of podcasting or broadcasting, as you say, T.A.
It is broadcasting, and then this is the thing. We look at the stats. I mean, obviously, it's a relatively small independent podcast, but I think we've had listens in about 20 countries in total, one way or another, which is again quite crazy. I mean, I know the majority, I think, will obviously be in the UK, but we have had certainly quite a lot in America, and we've had bits over in Australia. And I think because you mentioned something, it linked into somebody who liked it in Brazil, and it's like, what? It's kind of crazy how that sort of happens, really, with doing it through like this now compared to those old days where they obviously had to try and sort of tune into originally what would have been the BBC. And obviously as that then kind of evolved, you didn't have the choice and the options. I mean, now there's millions upon millions of things you can listen to or watch. So that's really, really changed. But yeah, 1 year reflection of podcasting will be interesting. I think my main reflection will be Rich telling me just how hard editing is. I don't understand.
And mine will be constantly being asked for another chair. So yeah, this has kind of brought the episode to a close, I suppose. We are, as I say, looking into things for the rest of the season. There will be some updates again on sort of the fitness and the mental health consistently being brought through with guests and also in our own conversations. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up another Monday night podcast, I think, T.A.
Night podcast. This is it. If it's not sort of Saturdays in the studio, it's Monday night podcast. It's a podcast that goes out on Tuesdays. It's just such a strange idea, but
we'll have to do a Patreon that says you can actually get Monday night podcast on a Monday night.
Oh, so you're going to turn this into a subscription?
Oh no, you still get it. You still get it for free, but you can have the early release.
Well, I wish you'd implemented that measure going into this, so you could have paid me my bank holiday rates. Frankly, doing very, very well getting me working on a bank holiday Monday night.
Well, there we go, T.A. As you say, maybe that will have to be something to draft with the podcast lawyers for the next season.
The lawyers are back. Don't make me mention Matt Murdoch.
I didn't even say a word. You're the one who brought that up.
I still don't even know who that is.
But on that note, thank you very much, podcasters, and we will be back next week, and we have a guest episode next week.
We do indeed.
So please stay tuned for that, and yeah, we'll be back with an episode, myself and TA as well, and the cooking special, and also a few other things that we've got planned. We just wanted to give a little bit of an update, really, of what we've been up to, and sort of have a little bit of a chat. And I might have a little bit of a vent coming up at some point, TA.
You might not be the only one. I've got a couple of things that have annoyed me recently again.
But we'll be bringing that up in the next episode where it's just me and you. So yeah, thank you very much, TA. And this brings Monday Night Podcast to a close.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Two best mates here to take you to stand. Rich and T.A. got your health in the hands. Ray's laughs and tales they tell. For beats and nights, the workouts, they're keeping it real. Oh, it's the middle